It's going to be a lag.
Trail 71 at the Three Stooges.
Have you explained to everyone what we're doing now?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since it's not my channel, but I'm going to go ahead and explain what's happening
take over
now. Yeah, take over now. So what we're doing tonight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what we're doing is we're just here at Endeavor Brewing in Columbus. What we're doing is we're going to do like a live Q&A so you guys get to watch. So sometimes we'll be focusing on me, Kevin, Andy, or Josh, or the audience, depending on what the question is, I guess. And if you've never checked out Endeavor Brewing, this place is awesome.
It's good, yeah.
What do you?
We're just taking a small tour already, and it's looking really good. So I think
I'm going to move it.
yeah.
So if it sometimes it like loses connection.
But yeah, so stick around so you get to see what happens.
Just keep an eye on it.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, I'll check on that.
I'll watch it.
That's what I look like on the trail, because I'm talking to myself. You know, like, I know.
I'm going to get my notes ready.
It's a good life.
If there's any questions that pop up.
Three Stooges. Up trails talking shit.
Like if I can, with these coming, yeah. This is weird.
Yeah.
That guy over there is talking to himself. All right, let's go the other way.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move it right in front of you.
That works too.
When they were here testing the place out, like coming and get the beers to make sure it fit to their standards, I was just like, all right, next time they said they benefit the space kind of small. It's like, well, next time we'll go make sure we get like
Take this chair.
I think someone's going to say.
Oh gosh.
I don't want to stand up.
Well, there's John.
Over here, yeah.
Anything goes awry, I can just hit try again and it'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. There's a try again and finish.
Try
Don't
again.
hit
Yeah,
finish.
don't hit finish. What's that?
No, she just wants. Sometimes the connection goes a little. 21 people.
Nice.
So will the comments constantly be there? Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Oh, they're gonna
Well, like I
scroll.
want to make sure like I catch any
you
questions that
see
people
one.
have. So.
Pretty slick setup. Yeah, mobile.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. What? Oh, just me focusing on me.
Josh is barely in there.
Josh, you're in there. She's looking great, dude.
Thanks. This is my good side, too. That's why I try all of What are the comments? The comments are all through?
Yeah.
What? What are the comments like?
We're good.
Yeah. What are they saying? What are they saying?
Live action. What's up, dude?
Nice.
They're gone now, but
You got 24.
you're good.
Watch
that. No.
You're more important than they are. No, don't tell them.
Thank you.
You get the fun job of watching the live stream.
What's that?
So they get the fun job of watching the live stream.
Yeah.
You know, somebody's got to do it.
I am. I'm too.
Like IRL. Hashtag IRL.
I mean, I'm watching live stream. Not a ton of
I have a shit ton of pitch stickers in my. Did you guys get the green ticket? Okay, good.
And I was really worried that we weren't going to have enough people coming. Now I'm really worried that we don't have enough people. I guess that's a good problem to have. My name is Abby. I run the Outdoor School and Outreach programs for R.E.I. in Central Ohio. I recognize a few faces, so it's really nice to see some of you come out. Basically what I do is anything that doesn't have to do with the sales floor. That is his job. This is Alex. Alex is one of the managers out at the Dublin location over on Salmo Road. It's actually thanks to Alex that we were able to bring in 4 of the local vloggers, is the term I've learned through this process. Video bloggers who are super enthusiastic about the outdoors and love sharing their love of the outdoors with people. We have Tim Watson. Josh Ebersole.
Almost got it.
And then the Schill brothers. Here's my stuffiness. My 10-year-old niece is now learning to share her germs. So tonight we are going to do a really cool meet and greet question and answer session for any of you guys who have questions about what these guys like to do outside, what their favorite places are to visit, what their favorite gear is, what their least favorite gear is. I don't know how some of you feel about Darn Tough, but I'm wearing Darn Tough right now, and Tim has strong opinions.
Yeah, I saw the thumbnail about Z-Packs too.
Someone's already complaining about that video with you guys.
Before we get fully started with them, I wanted to introduce Scott. Scott is the owner of Endeavor Brewing. He has graciously lent us this space for the day. So we're really excited about that. You guys got a green ticket when you came in. We'll be giving away a bunch of R.E.I. swag. If you ask good questions and creative questions, you might get some other swag. We want to have a really good time and get the conversation going. So thank you all for coming in. I will take it to...
Yeah, I think people coming in, we do have a couple more seats up front. We might have to separate, sorry.
We're gonna get a bench. Scott, if you can knock out the wall.
Everything.
Sit on the far side of that.
I'm going to leave it to, we'll start with Tim and go down the line and just have you guys talk a little bit about yourself, about your background, how you got in the outdoors, etc.
Alright, I'm Tim Watson. Hey! There's a little bit like a backpacking anonymous resource. But how I got in the outdoors is, it's actually it's so funny, about 3 years ago, I went out for a hike at Hocking Hills with Subaru Josh. That's why he always takes credit to my channel and what I do. We went out there, and I remember being out there hiking, and it was a super snowy day, so that's the perfect time to go because no one is there. And then what ends up happening is, I was like, why didn't anyone ever tell me that this stuff was so cool? Right? That's the thing that went through my mind the entire time. I was like, why didn't people tell me that all this stuff was out here? Because if you don't know about me or follow the channel, I grew up in Barbados. It's like a small island in the Eastern Caribbean. It's about 13 by 13 miles. And there's nothing like the stuff that we have here in the United States out there. So I was really into it right away. I came back from that trip and I was like, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail. I'm going to do it. Most of you probably have been doing it before. So my big thing is, the whole reason I have the channel and do YouTube is I really want to be like, if I can do this, you guys can do it too. Anyone can do this. It's nothing special about me. It's nothing where I'm this person to put up on a pedestal. Anyone can do this. All they have to do is go out to the door and start walking. That's pretty much it. You don't need any real fancy gear, even though sometimes I talk about fancy gear. You don't need anything special. You just need to have 2 legs and the ability to walk. And if you don't, just can't. It's kind of what I'm about and what I am doing. So I'm really thankful that R.E.I. put this on. Kind of had us come here because I don't often get a chance to meet in a non-backpacking setting. So I'll pass it on to Subaru Josh.
Alright, so yeah, I'm Subaru Josh. Subaru Josh. You guys Finders and Tim's channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I'm kind of Tim's sidekick. We've been backpacking together since the beginning of this channel. I'm the one that invited him to go hiking with me, the Hockham Hills, and from then it kind of came to a friendship. And so I've been backpacking for 4 years, been all over the country. Mainly, me and Tim, we've been on pretty much every single trip together. I just love to backpack and hike and talk about gear and beer and so coffee. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to meet you guys. And I'm not the star of the show tonight, I'm sure it's these guys. But I just love hiking and backpacking and being friends with Tim and these guys and all a good group of guys. So that's about it.
All right, we're the Schill brothers. We're only here because Tim decided to come. No, we started backpacking over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
Right? Yeah. I got into it in high school. Andy got into it shortly after that, and yeah, our first trip together was literally 10 years ago to Wyoming and South Dakota, and it's just blossomed into what it is now.
Yeah, I think what kicked this off though was that, like, and this is like shameless plug for R.E.I. Like, we were standing in line at R.E.I. for one of their garage sales. Kevin just randomly goes and grabs a GoPro. He's like,
oh yeah.
He's like, you know what?
It's like, we're doing all this backpacking. We might as well film it. So I want to watch it. I don't know. So yeah.
That's why we're here.
Happy to be here. They reached out to us and said it was at a brewery. We just stopped listening. We're like, it's at a brewery. So yeah, we'll be there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, I pulled some of the questions from your YouTube pages from people, from some of your viewers. If any of you guys are here, let me know. I have prep for it. Prep for it here? No? All right. For each one of you, what is your preferred way of recovering from a cold, miserable, rainy evening? That's a good one.
That's easy. I'll go first then, I guess. But cold, rainy, miserable evening. The big thing is, if you're talking about backpacking trip, fire is a really good way to boost morale.
Yeah.
Another big thing too is if I've brought like hot chocolate or anything hot, you guys know when as soon as you hit that, you're like, oh, sugar, and it's always warm. And that's one of the big ways I try to do that. But a big one is keeping dry. And so if you don't stay dry, it's going to be miserable no matter what. And so I always try to make sure to bring an extra pair of socks. And you guys who can have probably done that a lot of times. And then dry yourself off. And that's the big way that I kind of try to stay warm. Sometimes then I huddle under my quilt on my pad for a little while. And I'm like, okay, it's going to get better, Tim. It's going to get better.
So the way I like to recover after from my backpacking, if you guys watched our Utah backpacking video, we got like dumped on the 4th day, and it was all soaked. So we just set up our tent, and I lounged underneath my sleeping bag for like 4 hours watching The Office. And so that's pretty much how I like to recover from a long, cold, wet day of hiking. Getting dry clothes and just changing into a pair of like dry socks is like a huge morale boost for me. And then getting underneath my sleeping bag and then putting on my headphones and watching The Office or listening to music. That's pretty much how I recover from a long, cold, wet day of backpacking. So
we're going to answer as a team.
I'm pretty sure this answer is going to include backpacking chairs. No? Okay.
That's extra weight.
Hammock campers out there? Yes? Yeah. That's how you relax at camp. You get in that like warm burrito down and you just lay down and go to sleep. Nothing beats that.
Yeah.
Any questions out there?
I like the hot chocolate.
Yeah.
I think being dry and having any form of sugar helps increase morale. Awesome.
what is one of your worst backpacking trips? Worst experience?
Like worst weather? Or like, okay.
He knows the answer. Yeah, it's up there. You can see us fail hard at Dolly Sides.
That was
Yeah.
fun too.
Yeah, we failed hard there.
Yeah.
completely underestimated the
weeks ago,
weather
something like
in
that,
our
yeah.
gear. So
That was rough to watch.
Dolly saws, like, what's our know.
So what happened in November? So what happened was we hiked in, and it was like the upper 30s and like a total rainstorm. So everything got wet while we slept, and when we woke up, it was, I don't know, 10 degrees, and everything was frozen. Like my shoes, everything. So it was a pain to deal with.
Yeah, I think with the wind chill, it was like honestly -20, -30.
Yeah. If you've never been to Dolly Sods, it's if you're familiar with like Snowshoe, the ski resort in West Virginia, it's the mountain next to it. So it's like legit alpine, and the environment.
They logged it. Like, so you've got these huge open areas. But yeah, if being in Columbus, if you haven't been over there, you got.
It's like going to the middle of the Appalachian Mountains, and the weather gets serious.
Just watch out for landmines.
Yeah.
Yes. And the other fun thing about Dolly Sods is it's an old World War II training grounds. There's like unexploded landmines and stuff everywhere. I forgot that adds a little coating of terribleness to the weather. But that is actually all works.
Right.
The mud is like 6 inches deep. It's crazy.
Yeah, no one's ever going to want to go to Dolly Sods after this.
Go with the weather. I'd say the worst backpacking trip for me is really recent, the Cumberland Gap National Park. Where I went is my intention was to go to the Smokies, but then there was this huge accident on 75 or whatever road I was taking to go down there. And I was like, oh shoot, it will add another couple of hours to my drive. And it was winter time, we're getting there, and I knew I was gonna get to camp really, really late, night hiking. I was like, let me look at what's around. And Cumberland Gap National Park was nearby. And so I started hiking, and it started in kind of this fall weather. I was like, this is awesome. I'm really glad I made this trip and this side trip. And then as I got higher and higher, I saw more and more snow. I was like, okay, I got this. This is all right. But then it got to so much snow where I was trudging through, and then my campsite was completely snowed in. And so you see a big comparison between me and the Schill brothers, where it's very similar, is those unexpected turns. So that's where it comes in really well to be prepared for kind of some of the worst things. There's a balance between going ultra light or lightweight and then going overboard with all the things possible you can have. That's what I think, at least. And so what I ended up doing all the things these guys did, well, some of them did, is I made sure I had my shoes loosened up, so if I knew it was going to freeze, I wanted to make sure when it froze, that I could still fit my shoes in there. And then another big thing too, I was right down in the valley, kind of low next to water, and so condensation, which turned into frost, which was another big thing. And so I remember taking a picture of my backpack because it was just covered in frost. And that was a Z-Packs R.E.I, and I just remember it was like really silly to try to adjust that and kind of get frozen up. And so that probably was my worst one, and it really wasn't bad. Nice part about some of these backpacking trips I consider to be trial runs is that I can always be like, hey, I'm going to go home now. I'm going to walk back to the car and go home. Depending on where in the loop or the out and back you are, you can just go home. So that was for me.
My worst backpacking trip or experience was probably me and Tim's first backpacking trip to the Smokies. Because back when I was still kind of new and beginners, my pack was like 45 pounds. I carried 6 liters of water on me, and
That thing is
miserable. I was 6 liters of water, yeah.
You were never thirsty.
And so it was like middle of summer, 95 degrees outside, super humid, and we did just like 36-mile loop, and I just remember I was wearing these new boots I had just gotten, and I had blisters that had the quarters on my toes, and it was just miserable. I remember after that trip, I'm like, Tim's never going to go backpacking with me ever again, so all I did was complain, and it was miserable. I mean, my halfway, my shoulders had bruises all over them, my feet were super sore, and all I did was sweat for 3 days straight, and so that was probably, I can deal with the heat, but there's just something about sweating 3 days in a row and 90% humidity, it was pretty miserable.
All right. Iowa hiker.
Probably not.
Take a guess.
When are you going to through hike the Suwannee National Forest River to River Trail? Don't do it in the summer. Sticks and spiders.
So what she's referring to, the Suwannee River, it goes through Florida and Georgia. So it's cool in that they have, I've never done it, but they have like mosquito-proof shelters along it. So if you want to kayak it or canoe it, it's like a good spot to go in the winter. I've never actually been there. I've just done some research on it. I'd like to do it immediately. In terms of winter trips, it's probably a little better. But yeah, it's a river that runs through Florida, northern Florida and southern Georgia. And there's a series of like bug-proof shelters along it with power, so you can make like a cool like kayak trip out of it.
Is that where Jack's at?
Yes. So it's very popular in the Florida area. It's a good if you live in the Midwest. It's a good place to go in the winter. But I've never actually done it. So.
Well, Iowa hikers
I think I should too.
Let's see. Questions for the audience?
How long is that trail?
I know of the river, and it's several hundred miles. I don't know about the trail that runs along it.
Is there a specific trail or a country that you guys really want to hike outside of the U.S.? Like
I personally would love Barbados, Dominica. Somewhere in there, it's Dominica or St. Lucia. One of those islands, I think they're really interested in hiking around those areas. It's more volcanic than Barbados. Barbados is fairly flat, I guess hills, but it's nothing like how wild Dominica and St. Lucia would be. So that's the one that comes to mind. Outside of the U.S., right? Yeah.
I think
we want to do Argentina, Chile, Patagonia region.
Also the Canadian Rockies.
Yeah.
I'd like to get to as well. That's like super desolate and remote. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. We've been to Canada, but not the Rockies.
If anyone wants to know about South American trekking, find me out for it.
Yeah.
I've been down there in Chile for 4 years.
That's got the Endeavor.
Yeah, this guy knows the place. He let us come here, so that's cool.
And I'm going to give you a visual aid. We just scanned our beer. This is actually Mount Fitzroy on the border of Chile and Argentina.
All right, we got a fan.
My son's name, who you saw there, is named Fitzroy after this mountain. And this beer is brewed with Patagonian barley from Chile.
We saw the package. It does say from Patagonia.
Yeah, we saw all the stuff behind there. It's legit.
All right, from backcountry forward, were either of your parents or family members big on the outdoors or backpacking? And if someone doesn't come from an outdoor family, what's your advice for encouraging people to get outdoors? What's your big, sort of advice for people who want to?
I'll answer that one, I guess. My parents did not at all. It was one of those things where when I told them what I was doing, still now, my mom always is like, "Hey, where are you going out by yourself? Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be safe?" Just like moms do. And so it's great, but it's one of those things where they totally were not. And as a kid, I was not. I think the big thing, and I mentioned it when I first started talking, is showing people what's out there in a fairly safe way. Just kind of start easy. If you start off by saying, "Hey, come on, buddy, we're going to go hike the JMT together," or hike the 8 together, people are going to be turned off because it's so foreign to people who are not from the outdoors, like I totally was not. To say, "Hey, let's go do this, let's go do that." I actually lived in Colorado for a year, in Pueblo, southern Colorado, and I remember visiting Pikes Peak, and I took the train up. And I remember being like, "What was people with backpacks on hiking up? Why didn't they know there's a train right here?" And so, for me, I remember my cousins came, and they visited us in Iowa. They really wanted, they know the channel, and so they're just younger kids, so they really went to YouTube, and so they wanted to go hiking with them. And so the place I took them right away is Hopping Hills. And it's an easy place, and I keep mentioning it. Mohican's another great area to go as well. Zaleski, Wayne National Forest, we have all these bunch of areas here. If you show people like what is out there, I think they can be naturally led. As long as I do it with my own kids, I bring lots of snacks, I bring lots of food, and we take lots of breaks, and we make sure that we're having a good time, having fun. I think that's how you truly build into kind of a long-lasting love and enjoyment of the outdoors. If it's not fun or enjoyable, then who wants to be miserable? I'm still working with my wife. Who wants to be miserable and out there with mosquitoes and having to feel sweaty and greasy? And it's hard, right? Sometimes it is hard. And I think it takes someone to show them that way. And it has to be kind of gentle. You can't just throw them in the deep end and be like, why don't you go backpacking now? You're going to start off easy like we all do. Or we do this with everything. You want to feel confident in what you're doing. And if they don't feel confident, then they kind of shy away from it. So that's kind of my answer.
You gotta follow that. I don't even know.
So, I think we were fortunate enough to be raised with a glamping back.
Yeah, so like our dad was an Eagle Scout. That's legit.
Yeah.
Other than that though, we
had an RV.
We had an RV. We didn't have a backpack.
No, we were more glamping, but all over the place. The East Coast, Michigan, out west every year. So I think we were fortunate in that direction. But the backpacking really took off when, like, out of high school, and then we just naturally thought, like, hey, if we're gonna go somewhere cool, let's put on the packs and like see it.
I also I echo team sentiment in terms of like getting people to do this. So first, most of us, we probably live in Columbus, Ohio. Like, you don't think of Ohio or Columbus as like a good place to do stuff outdoors, but there actually is like a decent amount of backpacking in this state. And kind of like getting people over the hurdle of like backpacking is difficult. Like, you have to live off what you bring with you, but if you can do things to make it more comfortable for people, I think that brings down a lot of barriers. I don't know. We got our wands in. We just got to bring the chairs. And but yeah, I don't know. A lot of people in Columbus and Ohio in general, we do have some like semi-legit backpacking here and outdoor stuff in general. Like, we grew up here and we didn't really know that until we started backpacking and just started like Googling and checking out what's around. But there is some good stuff around here. Yeah.
What's your longest hike?
Oh, mine would probably be Pitcher Rocks Trail. I don't remember. So it's usually been about
miles at a time.
Longest is probably Pitcher Rocks Trail, which is about 40 something.
It's 42.
Yeah, 42 and a half. My dream through hike has always been the John Muir Trail. Still, it's been the John Muir Trail is one of those things that's been like stuck in my head. Those of you guys who don't know, I have a family. I have 3 fairly young kids, like kindergarten, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. So time away is something that I really have to like be protective of it and carve out as much as I can. And so, but the John Muir Trail is like one of those things that it's stuck in my head. And every time I watch Mile and a Half, I don't know, the 16th time now. If you've ever seen that movie, Mile and a Half, it's a really, really good one. And I've always wanted to do that one. So that one has been on tap and like been in the forefront of my mind to do, and that's 200 something miles in California. And so that one has always been there, but that's probably my dream one that I can do right now. Maybe someday the AT or PCP is on the list, but not something I can't get over.
What would your suggestion be for like mindset for someone who like keeping their mind like not thinking of the miles ahead, so we're present?
I watched like this really good video, or I read a really good article talking about, those of you guys who don't know, my background is a psychologist, so I think a lot about like what motivates people. Like, why do we put this stuff on our back and trudge uphill or trudge in a circle to get back to our car, right? What possibly makes us do this? And so talking to Karate Josh in the channel sometimes, we talk a lot about mental toughness. And how backpacking, a lot of it is, you can go your own speed, but a lot of it's truly mental toughness, because lots of people can walk with a load of their back. It's just a matter of saying, like, I am going to do this. Granted, sometimes there are physical things that we can't avoid, like an injury, or altitude sickness is the one that really scares me a lot. But the big thing is, all backpacking and hiking is putting one foot in front of the next, and measuring it not only in the amount of time that you're out there or the miles that you cover, but it's measured in one step at a time. And there's sometimes, I remember just in 4 Pass loop in Colorado, which is a beautiful loop if you ever get a chance to do it. I remember taking a stop and breathing like, okay, just one step up this silly pass, and somehow, if I take enough little steps, I'm going to get up there. And so that's the big thing. I think mindset is like really important.
What's the highest altitude that you have climbed?
So my highest is probably about 12.6 is what I've done. If I ever do the JMT, it would be 14 and a half or something like that. But 12.5, and that's in one of the passes, or 4 passes, or actually a couple of them. The big thing for me is taking your time. You really have, what I do is I monitor my heart rate as much as I can. At the moment I hear it pounding in my ears, I know it's time to slow down. Drinking water is huge. Another big one that came out recently, and this is not medical advice, I'm not a physician, but ibuprofen. If you look, there's a Harvard article talking about how ibuprofen can act as a preventative management of alcohol sickness. If you start taking it as soon as, so for 4 passes, I took it as soon as I got on the flight, and then every 6 hours beyond that. And so that's the one, and so I could, if you look at, if you search on YouTube how to help with alcohol sickness, one of my videos will pop up and it talks about that article. And so it's only one article, it's only one research study, but that's what I kind of hang my hat on. People also talk about Diamox, if you talk to your physician, it's another prescription that you have to get to talk about altitude.
What about ginkgo?
Ginkgo, I researched ginkgo, but I saw mixed results about whether or not it was truly effective, which is why I went to ibuprofen. Once again, not a medical doctor, talk to your own doctor. So, yeah. But ginkgo I've heard of, it's just, I couldn't say, like, hey, for sure this is going to work, or it's clinically proven to work. Ibuprofen is the only one that I know of that has a clinical study out there in the last couple of years.
If anyone wants high altitude tips, like you probably talked about that too, I've climbed Dr. Cogwood, Denali, Kilimanjaro, and been up to about 23,000 feet. Been in the Himalayas too.
Is there a best beer to take to high altitude?
Yes, actually, important question. One of the best beers I've ever had was a warm Brahma on the border of Chile and Argentina when we rode horses on a pass that Darwin took when he crossed the Andes. And one of the other best beers I had was in India. I just got down from a climbing trip in the Kumangar Wall Himalaya. And we had warm kingfishers under a bridge while we're waiting for 8 hours for a Jeep to arrive, basically. One of the worst beers in the world, but in that moment, it was one of the best beers. 6 weeks of climbing. Pretty great stuff.
Anything you add, Scott? To
So hydration is absolutely huge and important. Drink your water, and the higher you go, the less you want to drink. Keep eating. As you get higher, you get less and less of an appetite. So food and nourishment is incredibly important. Warm your extremities. Take your hot water bottle to bed with you. Keep that together. Compression breathing, rest steps are also really important when you get to the vertical. And not sprinting. So you learn this in backpacking when you sprint, stop, rest hard. No, it's about setting a pace, constantly moving, and programming short steps where I have a rule. Every hour I stop for 10 minutes, whether I want to or not, and I drink at least 8 ounces of water, and I eat at least 200 calories. And you keep going, that really helps for big mountains and altitude.
So how much of it has to do with the lack of oxygen? So like training with like these masks that reduce, does that legit help with the altitude, you know, acclimatizing?
I mean, I don't think it's going to do any harm, but how much good it does, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to say, but you got to train.
I researched the mass a little bit, and so one of the things I found, and so like Karate Josh uses the oxygen restriction mask a lot. He swears by it. The research I found was mixed as well, and so that's why I decided not to personally do it. I couldn't prove that it works, so I was like, maybe not try that. But I would rather just exercise at sea level regularly, keep your heart rate up that way, and not have to worry about the restriction oxygen.
Since we're on altitude, I have like a very gear-specific question. So I was teaching a backcountry like cooking class last weekend, and I was showing different stove options before I got into like, okay, you're all beginner backpackers, like I'm going to show you a canister stove. But with that, I was telling them like, this is going to be less effective at altitude and at low temperatures. And I got a question about, okay, well, what's the threshold of like this stopping to work? And I knew temperature-wise from experience, but like, at what altitude do you find that like you need to switch to something else? Because that's something that like I want to know for my future.
I know an alcohol stove. I used an alcohol stove on Mount LeConte in the Smokies, and it took 3 burns for me to get a boil with it. And so I'd say anything above like LeConte's what, 5'3", 5'8", or something like that. And anything above that, I mean, that's just my one-time problem I had with it. I also used an alcohol stove in Grand Teton National Park, and I was at like 8,000, and it did fine. So I don't know, I guess maybe it has to do with the temperature, but I mean, if I was going to be at high elevation, I'd take a canister stove for sure.
Once I personally get above like 6,000 feet, I start being like, I'm going to use a canister stove. Just my, so depending on what Josh's experience was, a lot of that could have been the amount of wind, kind of evaporating the alcohol quickly, but I find once I get above 6,000 feet, and depending on how exposed I am, I tend to use a lot more alcohol fuel to get the same boil that I used to get. So yeah, once I start going out west or breathing at that, it's all canister stove for me. What about for you guys?
Canister.
Yeah.
There is a question from the live. Somebody asked, do you guys have a favorite alcohol stove that you use?
Cat can, alcohol stove.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like,
Yeah, if you guys heard the questions, what's your favorite alcohol stove that you use? And so mine is as simple as like it's, I guess it's called a super cat. All is simple. Like I use a potted meat can or a cat food can and a hole punch, 2 rows of offset holes, and I measure to make sure that I can pour an ounce of alcohol in there so I can get enough of oil. And it's so simple. Like all you have to do is search or Google easy alcohol stove, and anyone can make that. So it's cheap.
I will say that canister stoves, specifically with altitude, when you get to a certain point, they're not a good thing
That's
either.
more what I was curious about. Like, do you switch to like a whisper light or something that you can pump?
White gas
Yeah.
is absolutely key at higher altitudes, and part of the reason for that too is because you're principally melting snow for your water consumption. And the volume that you need to go through with white gas that you can carry in bulk versus canisters is also a huge issue. But then you decompress more with the temperature issue. Remember that altitude and temperature are interrelated. You lose 4 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet of elevation you gain purely from altitude. So those canisters decompress very quickly at lower temperatures. I think really within the United States, even out in Colorado, I've used alcohol, canister stoves, white gas in Colorado, throughout the Rockies, or kind of on the Divide Trail out there. No issues. But canisters, sometimes you have to hold a lighter under them, or put it in your sleeping bag at night, or get a little sketchy. And white gas is just, it's brainless, because you don't need that internal pressure of the cartridge, because you're pumping it and cracking it. So, yeah, but big mountains, white gas.
What's the best meal you've ever cooked on the trail?
These guys are
like cooked or prepared?
Not like bag already prepared
fish.
Yes, so
we went to Isle Royal 2 years ago, and one of the days we fresh caught like 3 or 4 northern pike. And Andy had brought a whole seasoning kit, butter, and we had a grill.
We're just frying butter.
So we had a fish fry, and there's nothing like on day 6 of eating dehydrated stuff, like you start just craving actual food. And that's where we were at like day 6, and we had caught these fresh fish. And like northern pike it's like an average fish, but on day 6 of dehydrated stuff, it tastes like king salmon. Yeah. But that's the best meal we've had on trail.
Yeah, that we've cooked. In terms of cooking, unfortunately, I don't do a whole lot of cooking. It's mostly bag, rehydrate. I just, for me, I get it. So like sometimes when I camp with these guys, they are like true backcountry kitchen experts. But when it comes to me, I'm more like bag, water, rehydrate, go. Even people who pack with me for breakfast, I don't have a huge breakfast. I pretty much pack up, grab a bar or like granola, and I'm gone. Because I just feel like I'm more of an early riser, because I want to get on the trail fairly quickly. And so it's nice for me.
I typically use Mountain House, or I got their trail burrito recipe, and I dehydrated it. Yeah, it was delicious, so I'll do that. So simplicity for me, I don't really cook. I don't want to bring real food with me. It's just too much weight, too much work. When I get to camp, I want to set up, I want to cook, I want to eat, and go to sleep. I don't want to sit there for an hour frying fish, no offense. Okay, well, yeah, simplicity is key for me.
Someone's got any questions? So, R.E.I, all that hopping outside. How else, besides backpacking, do you all opt outside?
Did you guys hear that in the back?
How else do they opt outside? I'll speak louder, sorry.
So, Andy and I do a lot of trail running, especially in the Columbus area. We've gotten into that in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we do. We ski, we hunt.
A lot of stuff outside.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah.
Trail running is our normal, like, trail running is like our day-to-day outdoorsy stuff we do outside of backpacking. But yeah, as Amy said, we do a little hunting, we do day hiking, but we do a lot of trail running in that. And there's like legit trail running in Columbus, nobody knows that. Out at like Allen Creek or even at like Antrim. So that's like our day-to-day outdoorsy stuff.
Yeah, we do a lot of fishing, fly fishing.
We do a lot of outdoorsy stuff. Yeah. We do a lot of fly fishing too, and regular fishing.
Yep. Yeah, the big thing that I do is my bike. Like I love cycling, but really what I've got into, and those guys who follow the channel probably, is gravel riding a lot recently. And so I just picked one up last year. I did my first bike packing trip last year at the AEP Recreation Lanes down in Southern Ohio, and it is so much fun. And so that's the big thing that I end up doing now is that I'm trying to transition. It's not going to be all or none, but I want to do at least 1 or 2 bike packing trips a year. And so this Sunday I'm going to be out cycling just around our little county. It's supposed to be 51 degrees, which is crazy. So my wife is already know, they're already talking about it for the last couple of days. Like, I'm going to go out Sunday, okay? Just so you know, just for a couple hours. And so cycling is the big thing that I got into recently.
Besides backpacking and hiking, I play disc golf. That's a really fun, easy hobby. I also bike with Tim. I'm not as good as he is, but I got a cheap little Walmart bike, so I just hop on and ride. Kayaking, I like kayaking. I used to play paintball, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, I mean, hiking is the majority of my outdoor recreation. If I'm not backpacking, I'm hiking. That's what my main hobby is. And so in the summer, I try to hike like 20 miles a week. And so I don't know what's in it, but it's my goal. And so yeah, hiking is my #1 outdoor recreation.
Any questions from the audience?
Yeah. So question I've got is, what's your greatest pack fail? In other words, learning from the what didn't work so well for you guys. When it came to actually putting your backpack together, what's an experience you can share with us to say, learn from my mistakes, you never want to try doing this again, as far as the gear you're packing, how much of it, how you're positioning it, what can you share on that?
I'll go first. I fell in a river. I fell into a river while I was crossing it, and I had all the electronics on the outside of my back. And yeah, so everything else was waterproof, but I wasn't paying attention to the electronics on a river crossing, which was stupid. And so actually the microphone survived. So
yeah. So pack your electronics inside your pack, not on the outside.
Yeah. The big thing for me is how you mentioned how you pack your packs is super important. I remember there was I think one of my early trips where I just didn't position the weight or balance the weight properly. A lot of the heavy weight was up to the top, so I was a little top heavy. Luckily I didn't tip over or fall into anything, but I could tell by how I was carrying it that I was really uncomfortable. I felt like I was constantly shifting. And if you're doing that, it just isn't balanced properly. So it's really important. And it sounds like how you pack your backpack. What items are you having closer to your back? What items around? What items to the top? And then I feel like I like stuff at the bottom now. And so it just takes a while to adjust for your specific gear. And then I've noticed that the amount of food I carry will throw that off quite significantly. Because there's sometimes where I'm like, man, there's a lot of food on this side. And how can you tell because you're kind of like this? And so you can just balance out that weight so it's fairly even. So that's mine.
I have an actual one you made me think of. So we were hiking 2 years ago. It's the reason I don't use camelback bladders anymore is I had a bladder leak on the top of my pack in November, and the water seeped down into my down stuff and stuff like that. So I just don't use bladders anymore because that happened once.
Mine was not switching to trail runners sooner. I used to have a pair of Obos mid-bridger. Loved them because they have good grip, good toe protection. No offense, I saw you wearing those. But Tim kept trying to tell me, switch to trail runners. I'm like, no, I like my boots. But I kept continuously getting blisters on my feet. They were super sore and restricting. And so finally I switched to trail runners and all my problems went away. And so I think part of the problem was not getting a pair that was sized up. So a big thing with getting boots is getting a half a size bigger to allow for your feet to kind of swell. But I thought that in order to backpack, you needed to wear boots. And every backpacking video, when I first started backpacking, there wasn't a whole lot of YouTubers that there are now. And so I thought you needed boots. And so I bought this $200 pair of Obos boots. And I kept wondering why my feet kept hurting all the time. I mean, I do a 6 mile day hike and I would have blisters the size of quarters on my toes. And so I finally decided to switch to trail runners. I got the Ultras. And that was another gear fail too because I didn't realize they had a zero drop and I ended up getting tendonitis in my Achilles tendon. And I was out for 4 months of the backpacking season midsummer from June until September, so 3 or 4 months I was out. And so the biggest thing is to do your research on shoes and get a pair that isn't going to kill your feet like they killed mine. And so finally I think I found a good pair. And so I think footwear and pattern are the two biggest things to get. They want to get fitted to you. Because if you kill your feet, especially your first or second day on the trail, you're just going to be miserable the rest of the time.
What's the best way to carry a lot of water? You just said never bladder, so what's one of the ways to carry a lot of water?
Smart water bottles.
The best way to carry water.
I would say in individual bottles, and then try, if you're going to carry a bulk amount, try to position the weight so it distributes evenly. So
don't put it on the outside of your pack. So if it does leak, it doesn't get into your stuff.
Yeah, like when we carry, if we have to carry a bulk amount of water,
we carry it on the outside of our packs.
On the outside, and we try to center it as best as possible.
Yeah.
But
so keep it in the outside, trying to center it. Because when you have your pack and you throw 2 or 3 liters of water, that's 7 to 10 pounds. And if you don't position it right, it can really annoy you.
Yep. Then exactly those guys. I use smart water bottles, and I also use an Avenue water bladder for my dirty water. And so I keep my smart water bottles as a clean water. That's why I filter into. And then I use an Avenue. It's like a plastic bladder. It's 2 liters big. And so if I need to really camel up, I'll fill that up. But just like those guys said, I put it in the outside of my pack, in the outside pocket, and I make sure I try to center that because that's one of those things that can really throw off your back.
Who ordered pizza?
That's ours. Yeah, she's at the bar. I would add something to that water.
Yeah.
I don't want
Please,
to.
no.
Pizza floor. Yeah, all right, I'll say
She's at the bar if you want to grab her. One thing about carrying large quantities of water too is actually thinking about it in terms of planning your trip and being smart and efficient. So one of my favorite things to do so you have to carry less water is to not actually cook in camp. But like you suggested, get on the trail first thing in the morning, walk to your first water source, take a break and cook breakfast there. And then same thing in the evening, cook your dinner at your last water source, then hike to camp and set up. It also eliminates all of your issues with bears and mini bears and all that other kind of stuff. But it means you physically have to carry less water because you literally just need what you need for that evening and when you're on the trail.
So down over synthetic.
Depends on the application. So the question was down over synthetic. So most of the times I prefer down, and it just makes sense to me, especially with the hydrophobic stuff that you have out there now. You still, even though the hydrophobic stuff is great, still if it gets wet, it still kind of stinks. But I mostly have down, so down quilts, down jackets. But I did pick up a synthetic jacket that's really lightweight, is why I'm trying out now. It's the Enlightened Equipment Torrid jacket, and that's the one. It's actually lighter than my Ghost Whisperer that I had, and so that's why I'm trying it out. Most of you guys can probably follow Darwin's channel, and he's a really big fan of the Enlightened Equipment Torrid. Yeah, and so that's one of the big ones. But I sometimes get a lot of comments from people who are in the Pacific Northwest talking about that. It just depends on the conditions. I mean, they get so much rain, their stuff gets soaked all the time. And so if that's the situation you're in, a lot of them carry synthetic gear for that exact reason. And so it just depends a lot on the application is what I'd say. But right now out here, out west, most of what we do, I'll keep down and I just make sure I keep it really dry. And that's like priority number one when I'm packing, is I make sure that down stuff in my clothes, at least one set of clothes, it's going to be dry no matter what. So I actually use individual stuff sacks. I use human fiber stuff sacks is what I use. But it's more than okay. I've used for quite a while. Just a trash compacting bag on the inside of your pack will work. As long as you make sure it doesn't have any holes and you make sure you tie it off or roll it up, that works fine. I've done that. I've done both. I just am partial to stuff sacks now because there's some things that don't go in a dry bag for me. There's some things I don't care if it truly gets wet, it's okay. But as long as my gown is dry and my clothing is dry, I'm fine. Anything you like to add?
Agree. I mean, so the question is down versus synthetic, and so they're talking about the stuff in puffy jackets, if you don't know what we're talking about. So it either comes from an animal, which is down, or it's synthetic. And for backpacking, we generally favor down, but for like everyday stuff, we favor synthetic, I think. Synthetic's fame is it's better when it's wet. So when down stuff gets wet, unless it's treated like hydrophobically, it'll lose its loft and you won't keep the warmth. But synthetic stuff will keep its warmth and wetness. So like we have some winter stuff that's synthetic, but we usually favor down. Unless we know it's going to be super wet, super cold, then we go synthetic, I guess. That's the answer.
I got a question. I enjoyed your videos out west and in the Smokies and stuff, but I haven't seen any videos from the White Mountains. Any reason?
So the question is, why haven't we gone out?
Why such a weenie?
That's the question. Why haven't we gone out to the White Mountains in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
The reason is time. It would just take us a lot of time to drive out there, and so a lot of times what we end up doing is, we're perfectly positioned in Ohio. You don't think about it, but you can reach like a lot of major areas within a day's drive. And so like our radius is about 6 to 8 hours, and so that's why we end up hitting the Smokies, Red River Gorge a lot, we hit up Michigan, and we had eastern Pennsylvania, and then West Virginia. If you think about it, you draw a big circle, that's why. But no, the White Mountains, I know Presidential Bloom, I think, is one of the ones that's been on my list. And I don't know about these guys, but I kind of keep a checklist of areas that I really want to go to, and I just keep it on my, depending on comments from people like that. And so the White Mountains has been on there for a while. It just depends on the timing of getting out there. What about you guys? Why have you guys gone there?
We're not kids, so we don't have time excuse. Our knees aren't ready for that.
That's fair.
There's a question back there.
Kind of going off of the issue of time, I guess, how do you end up planning, like so many backpacking trips or river trips end up taking so much time? How are you able to plan the time and the finances and everything to be able to do these trips, especially if you're having to work all year and stuff like that?
I'm going to start this off. Alex, will you put your hand up? Allie, will you put your hand up?
Those are our wives.
And they allow us.
They put up with all this, so that's like the main reason we can do all this stuff.
We get permission to go a certain amount of time.
No, we do a lot of planning. So like the beginning of the year, we think about, okay, there's a couple big trips we want to do, there's a couple medium-sized trips we want to do, there's a couple like overnights we want to do, and we just plan it out. And we try and spend a minimum of 1 night a month outside on average, and we definitely exceed that usually, but it's planning and prioritizing it.
We've already, like, 2019 hit, and like we were sitting at his house with maps, going through everything, trying to like block off time. You know, we have full-time jobs, we have a certain amount of vacation time, so like laying out what's our priorities this year. Like we know kind of where we want to go this year, and we know we have some short places we want to get to and some really long trails we want to hit as well. So it's like putting together a plan and then running it by everybody, making sure everybody's cool with it, and then we're off.
And like it's nice. Like you can get down to Zaleski from here in under an hour. So it's like if you have some time and it opens up, you can zip down. There are places within 1 to 2 hours. There's probably 5 or 6 semi-legitimate backpacking places within an hour or two here. So like sometimes we'll have a free weekend and we're like, all right, let's just go for a night or something.
Yeah, just like last minute, like let's just meet up after work and just shoot down somewhere if something comes up. But
we've also convinced our wives to pick up this hobby too. That helps.
For me, you mentioned also the expense, and so the big thing is like when you get it back, but you don't have to get all the that stuff. There's lots of good budget options out there. You go out there, you'll survive, you'll thrive, and be fine. And so once you get an initial investment, that's one of my favorite things about backpacking is that it actually does not cost a whole lot beyond that initial investment. Once you get that, and depending on where you go, now if you go to Chile, Argentina, or on the West Coast, then yeah, it bumps your costs. But there are a lot of places within drive time that all you have to do, like right over work we talked about, all you tank of gas, you have your gear, you can stay out there for days exploring the gorge in Kentucky. What's that? Yeah, you pay for that overnight parking pass, which is what, $5 and tank of gas, and that's pretty much all you need. In terms of the time, it's hard. And so the hard part for me with the kids is like we carve out time. And so I usually go on about 6 or 7, I call them outdoor trips, more than one night. So that's usually what I have an understanding with my wife, and we just say, okay, I know that wintertime I have one trip, I kind of take wintertime or dead of winter off. And then you see it start to pick up at least once a month. You'll start to see it pick up as soon as spring hits, like April, May. You see a once a month trip that I go on. The majority of those, the sweet spot, I know for you guys who work, is pretty much like 3 days. If you can make a 3-day weekend, that's a pretty legitimate backpacking trip or a loop or miles you can do. And then in the summer, I tend to have like 1 or 2 more larger trips that I go on that way. And so yeah, the hard part is planning it. So as soon as the year hit, I try to figure out, okay, well, where am I thinking I want to go? Is the whites on the agenda? Is this on the agenda? There are a couple places that I loosely sketch out when I want to go and what I want to do, and then I firm up the plans as I get closer to that date. But yeah, it's not easy, and it took a lot of conversation to try to figure out like when works. But I find like putting on the calendar a pencil first at the beginning of the year is the best way to make sure that you can go on them. If you start like being like, oh, I haven't gone on any trips already, it's been a couple months, then you're kind of behind the 8 ball already. I like to start early, sketch them out, and then I have it kind of prepared or have an outline in my head of what I want to do.
So for me, most of my trips are backpacking trips. I don't really go on vacation anywhere. So I get 2 weeks off a year at my job, and so I just plan multiple 3-day trips, and then like Tim said, once or twice a year we'll do like a 4 or 5-day trip. And so luckily my wife is very lenient, will let me go on trips. How many there we go, how many? And so, but like the way I pay for trips is I live a very minimalist life. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't have the newest, greatest stuff. And so a majority of my extra money is spent on backpacking trips. And like Tim said, they're pretty cheap once you get all your gear. So like the Smokies trip, for a 3-day trip, you just get 2 overnight permits, and they're like $5 each or something like that. When you think about it, you know, fill up your gas tank gas, $30–35, and your permits, you're spending less than $100 to go somewhere cool for a long weekend. And so for me, I can justify that versus like I don't go to on these long like 2-week vacations where I spend thousands of dollars as much as I might want to, but I prioritize and I pick my vacation time, and so I don't I don't miss work for stupid stuff like being sick. I just save all my time. No offense, but yeah. So I save all my vacation time for backpacking trips, and then I save all my money for backpacking trips, and that, yeah, how I afford it.
Good question.
All right. One question I have is, what is your must-have, take it with you on every trip, favorite piece of gear in the entire world, and why?
Cheers. Yeah, mine is my Thermarest ZC. That's like the #1 thing that goes everywhere. People are like, oh, you don't really need to sit. If you ever really want to sit on a rock that's really, really hard, it's nice and flat, and it's so simple, right? It's just like a thin piece of foam. It goes on every trip. I use it to like start fires, kind of, instead of blowing all the time, I don't really use pocket bellows. So I use it for all these different things. If I have a cold spot in the foot box of my quilt, I just shove that down there and kind of keep me warm. If I have a spot in my hammock that's cold, I use it for that. And so it's like one of my go-to ones that I use all the time. And it's so stupid simple. It's just a piece of foam, but I use it all the time.
Not a poop trowel?
Not a poop trowel.
So, unlike Tim, we don't sit on the ground. We bring an actual backpacking chair.
Yeah,
that's definitely our most.
And we take so much crap for that. And it's okay. I don't care.
We carry it too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more. There's
we didn't break out.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that we preach is that having fun backpacking is part of that is being comfortable on the trail. And for us, being comfortable is having a nice place to sit, and it's a luxury item, and we love it, and we're not changing.
You don't hike for 12 hours and sit on a rock.
What about when your chair breaks? What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Sit on the ground.
Yeah.
Like the common folk.
My favorite is my Thermarest Neoware X-Therm. I don't really take a whole lot of extra gear like chairs and sit pads, but I love being comfortable at night, and so I have the wide, long version of the X-Therm, and I'm a smaller person, so I can stretch out and just super comfortable, super warm. That's like, yeah, that's my go-to favorite piece of gear. And
fantastic pack, by the way. Expensive.
Worth it.
Yeah, I say
get it from R.E.I. You get it here.
I save for that for a while just because, and I use it year round, which sounds silly, but I'm a super cold sleeper. And so if it's the summertime and I know I'm going to be too hot, I'll wear shorts and a t-shirt and bring my X-Therm along because I always get cold. And so maybe someday I'll find something like a sweet spot, a pad that'll work. I know the X-Lite is out there, but the X-Therm is a fantastic pad. Yeah.
So I have a couple questions for, not as the whole group, but so Josh, are you planning any backpacking trips with your dog? You post a lot on social media.
With my dog, yeah.
So the question was whether or not he's planning backpacking trips with his dog.
So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I post on my dog all the time. I have a Black Lab Australian Shepherd mix. He's like the best dog in the world. I don't care what anybody says, my dog's the best. He loves to hike and he's super energetic. And so yeah, I do plan on taking him on some trips. I want to start him off small. Probably go to Mohegan State Park and just do it overnight. We want to give him a little doggy bag and carry his water and his food. And so yeah, I definitely want to take him on some trips. We take him hiking quite a bit in summer when it's not negative 40 degrees. And so he loves to hike. And so, I mean, just like me and Jordan, you know, he's a part of our life. We want to include him with us. And so, I mean, he sleeps with us every night in our bed. So it's like, he's like our child. And so we're definitely going to take him on some trips. Definitely Mohican. If the Smokies allow dogs, I'd probably do it there too. But yeah, be looking forward to some videos and some pictures of our dog on the trail.
Schill Brothers, same question, but your cats.
Hey, R.E.I., that's for a cat backpack. No, our cats would survive like 5 seconds. And then
all those claws would go through all the hammocks in there. No chance.
Any questions from the audience?
So what YouTubers do you guys watch when you first started backpacking? Or do you guys watch any YouTubers now?
Yeah, as part of the duo here, I have the responsibility of making sure we're up to date on the YouTube backpacking community. Besides the Ohio YouTube crew, Lance is here, right here in the front row.
Outland.
Yeah, Outland. You know, I watch all the big backpacking channels. I also, every year, I get a list of thru hikers that I want to watch do the PCT and the AT. Our good friend Frozen Outdoor Adventures, he's kicking off his 18th thru hike soon, so we'll be following along with that. What else are we watching? We watch some like photo editing and like camera stuff too, because we gotta stay on top of that as well. And then like great channels like you know, of course Darwin, My Own Frontier. I don't know if you guys have seen him. You know, we watch Joe Rogan as well. Joe's great. Those are like the really big ones, but
Redbeard.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, Dave Gray, Redbeard. Yeah, Redbeard started commenting on our stuff, which is like, oh, cool.
Yep, for Hammocks, Shug Emery, if you ever watched him, like he's the guy to watch. He's a little bit, I'll warn you, a little bit of an acquired taste, just because he is who he is, he's so unique. But Shug on YouTube is like, if you ever want to get into hammock camping at all, he has a huge playlist for new people, and I always direct people to that, because I could never come close to creating a resource of that many videos on every specific thing you want to know hammock camping. He's the guy to go to.
I thought Bigfoot lately. He he posted things about his income, which how much he makes. Like I think it's like 5-6 days ago.
Yeah,
So,
I saw it. Yeah. So Follow Bigfoot's another one I watched. We mentioned Outdoor Adventures as well. Yeah. I mean, so I keep up on it because you start watching like YouTubers, and it's funny because they become your friends. Like we would never have met the Schill brothers without YouTube or Lance or Fred Donaldson, who's here. Like and so we watch these guys just because they're our friends, and we want to see what they're up to and what they're doing. But yeah, we watch a lot of. You actually don't need television now. You don't need to have a cable subscription.
Hi. So I actually recently started a channel for like outdoor education, that kind of thing.
Plug it.
Oh. Do you want me to? Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. So the phone can't see me, but my channel is called Caver Outdoors, but it's spelled Kayver. I'm a caver, I'm a cave guide, and a lot of cavers know me as Kay. My name is Carrie. But the question I have for you, I didn't even expect to plug myself, is what advice do you have for a new channel in terms of like how I can make my content great, how I can appeal to people, or anyone in this room really, like whether you have an Instagram that you're running, or like what kind of things do you guys do for exposure?
First thing I would just say, just the very basic, is just put out content. Put out stuff that you're passionate about. Who cares about the editing? That'll come with time. You know, you'll get better cameras, you'll get better at editing video, you'll figure out the music, all that fun stuff. I think all of us just appreciate good content. Like, I don't care about the other stuff that comes with time. So if you just put out stuff that you're passionate about, you'll build a following.
Sweet.
I think too, like, just find your audience. Like it could be 5 people, but then it'll be 50, and then it'll be 500. Just find your audience and just produce stuff that you think people might want to see. It doesn't have to like look good or have a fancy sound or anything like that, but just put stuff that you like and find your audience, and it'll come. I mean, we started this 2 years ago, and we're like, probably nobody's gonna watch it. We don't care. Like we're just throwing it out there, like it's cool, and then people start watching it, and just find your audience and start producing stuff.
Yeah, we just started ours just for the sole purpose of just documenting our trips, just so that we would have that for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we'll let other people see it too, and if they like it, they like it. If not, I won't.
Yeah, the big thing I try my best to think about is like, I try to think about the purpose of each video. So who am I making this video for? Like, what's the purpose of it? Will it be useful? Is it something that I would want to watch? If I wouldn't want to watch, sometimes there have been times I've been editing, and I'm like, this really stinks. I wouldn't want to watch it, so I don't put it up. Because if I wouldn't want to watch it or I'm bored by it, why bother? And so I try to think about what value is someone who is watching this getting. Is it education, because we're talking about hammocks? Is it because they just want to watch me open and talk about backpacking gear, like I do those sometimes? And sometimes each video has a slightly different audience. And so like Kevin mentioned, find out who that audience is and what you feel passionate about. But the big thing is that you have to be true yourself. So I try to be the exact same person you're seeing here today, talking and chatting, is the exact same person you see on the video, I hope. And then when people meet me in person, they're like, wait, you're exactly the same person. Because if you try to compartmentalize yourself or make yourself seem better than you actually are, people pick up on that. You realize if someone's being fake or not. And so if you can be genuine and still have fun doing it, that's the best of both worlds.
Tim gave some other advice one time online. He said be consistent. Put out stuff consistently. Because you just don't want, if you start following somebody and then, you're from for 2 years, it's like,
what would you, I know I've seen the trend is tagging people in your free luxury items.
we just filmed ours. Sometimes what that is the big reason it starts is because I think it's a way for smaller YouTubers to get exposure. So I'm actually going to film mine later this week, just because they want to get started and they want to get their name on it. And I get it. As long as, at least for me, if it's a tag that applies to backpacking, then I'll go ahead and do it. If it's something that's completely out there and I don't think it would have value, then I usually just kind of don't do it. But like I said, as long as that community keeps growing, that's what it's all about. You realize pretty quickly, I'm not sure if Abby even realized when it first started, how big the YouTube backpacking community is.
Yeah.
It's huge. Yeah, and just Ohio right now.
Not gonna lie too, the winter months, a little slow for content.
We gotta do what we can.
Gotta do what we can. So
what's your closest dangerous encounter with wildfire?
Can you repeat the question?
He said, what is the closest dangerous encounter with wildlife? I'm going to be honest here. I mean, we've had some stubborn moose before in Wyoming, but it wasn't really that dangerous. I would say the most dangerous thing that we've come across are humans, so.
Absolutely. And probably, I'm trying to think of our most dangerous things outdoors. They might not be when we were backpacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've hit rattlesnakes, bears.
Yeah, we had a stubborn moose blocking a trail.
In Wyoming, we had a moose that would not move, so we had to walk all the way around it. That was annoying. But
yeah, we've had some sketchy run-ins with some people before. Not like in the middle of the night, people putting flashlights in your face and stuff. So that's the closest we've got.
I guess in terms of wildlife, mine's probably just saying this. Actually, I've never seen a bear on the trail. I never have. Once I get in the car, and then I see it on the way out. But probably the biggest was probably a moose. And so 4 fast loop, and so Karate Josh got blunt charged, we're stomp, snort, about to go, and we're like, whoa, 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 let's just keep walking this way. And as long as we were fine, but that's probably about it. Most of the animals that we run into are pest animals. So raccoon, Sighted and Mohican is the big one. But one is getting your cat. But yeah.
Sponsorships. Have you been approached for sponsorships for testing gear or anything?
Yes. Yes. And so that's one of the benefits of the YouTube channel. The big thing is that you have to be upfront with people about what you have gotten. And so companies have, I always get emails, I always get questions about gear. My big thing that I try to do now is I'm trying to move away from accepting because a better way is to, what I'm trying to, is a new model. Those of you guys who watch my channel probably have noticed where a company will sponsor a video, but the video has nothing to do with their product. So they get to sponsor while I talk to you guys about backpacking gear in general. And that way it's completely unrelated. The company gets its name out there about what they want to do. And so it's a different model for the tech community uses a lot on YouTube, but you don't really see it in backpack communities. I'm trying to convince these guys to, whenever they do it, not to take the free gear, it's just easier to, hey, you can plug the company, but then just talk about something else backpacking related. So yeah, that's the big thing for me. But you can get, if you get a big enough audience on YouTube, yeah, you can get gear for free or for a review. My big thing I always tell these guys is My standalone thing is just because you send me gear doesn't mean I'm going to do a video on it.
We get contacted all the time to do stuff. We're pretty hesitant to do a lot of stuff.
We've accepted free gear, sure.
Yeah. Is it getting stuff?
A whole backpack.
So I'm sure Tim and John are saying, like, if you start making YouTube videos, first the Amazon companies come to you. And these are overseas companies that make anything related to the outdoors.
They just pump stuff out.
And we get emailed literally every day. People wanting to send us stuff, and like this isn't our job, so if it's crap, we don't care about it. We're very hesitant to do that.
Yeah, but we have the stuff that we've accepted for free or heavily discounted are companies that have supported us.
Yeah.
And that we believe in their products, like Hammock companies and certain pack companies. But we have a very, very clear disclosure that, just because you're sending us gear doesn't mean you're going to get what you want out of it. If we like it, we'll talk about it. And then we turn down most everything that
we turn down probably 90% of the stuff that I'm sure it's higher for you. Every day it's random companies that sell stuff on Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's gotten to the point where I don't respond anymore to some people. It just gets too many. Especially if I put in a link and I'm like, that is junk, I would never use it. And so that's why sometimes you may see like me opening a mail video and then I try it out and I'm like, it's junk. And so I don't even link to it or talk about it much at all.
When did you get to a point when you started receiving these emails, like subscriber-wise or
1,000? Yeah.
It happens, right? It happens like smaller than you think.
Yeah, and even a couple hundred, I'd say, and you can get those emails. But the bigger you are, I think the more emails or contacts you get, because people want to get their company name out there. And the big thing is like being upfront to people who are watching you, because no one wants to watch a sellout or someone who's trying to sell them something the entire time. So that's why you see, if you watch my videos, the sponsorship model is different. And it's just something where it's not trying to sell you anything, just being like, hey, here's the company that paid for this video. Now let's talk about backpacking here.
Schill Brothers, will you ever go on a solo backpacking trip without your brother?
I've thought about that, but like, you just always have people that want to go backpacking with us. Will we do that sometime? Yeah. I mean, if there's ever a time where I can't find anyone to go backpacking, I'm going to go backpacking. But literally in 15 years, I'm so fortunate. I've always had people that want to go, so I haven't had to deal with it yet.
I don't foresee it in the near future.
Let's see, your favorite memory on the trail, like one distinct memory on the trail, what's your favorite one?
Oh, jeez.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Tim, do you have one? You kick it off.
I have lots of them. The mountaintop moments are big for me, where you're like, it just burned into your mind. So I think about Four Pass Loop in Utah. There are certain points where you kind of, talk about mindfulness. You're so aware of where you are at that point. And I remember Four Pass being in one of it's a Pervert Basin, I think. I remember being like, look at where I am, like surrounded by these mountains. There's a waterfall over there. The moose was just over there. And you're like, it's so real. And the memory just lasts forever. I can just recall right away. It's almost flashbulb memories for me. And so there are several of those. Just being on top of mountains is my big one. Mountains or vistas, that's what I'm all about. If I can make it up there, that's my, like those moments just kind of embed themselves for me.
I've done a few canoe trips in Canada before, and those of you that have never gone to like northern Ontario or different parts of Canada, you need to get up there. But I've been on a few rivers before, slowly creeping around bends on a canoe, and there's just, bull moose feeding in the water. It's just like the most pristine, unmeasurable view that you can think of. That kind of stands out for me.
Oh, I guess I want to mention a specific one. I remember heading up to Western River Pass, the first pass in Four Pass Loop, and then heading up to Frigidaire Pass. And we were booking it because, afternoon thunderstorms. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really, really bad. I mean, it was storming, there was lightning over there, and it's so exposed, there's nowhere to go. And I remember, I think I said in my video, like, I don't think I've ever prayed that hard in my life. Because there was just thunder, and boom, there'd be lightning, you know, right over there. You can almost smell the ozone, or whatever, right? Isn't it ozone? Yeah. And I just remember meeting children just coming down and having to book it up there, and that one was scary. But I remember coming down and being like, oh, once you come down, you're like, that wasn't so bad.
Scott, same question.
That's good.
Ooh, yeah, you're gonna smoke us all.
Yeah. So best memory, basically.
Sweet place.
Best memory on the trail.
Man, goodness. Number one.
There gets to be a lot. Don't you think there's
There's
a
a
lot
lot.
of moments that are like.
There's a lot of moments that are just powerful, and I mean I've always been attracted to mountaintops too. I mean there was a very emotional one for me when I submitted a Rainier shortly after my grandmother had passed away, and we did it for Alzheimer's research. And so we successfully set up a fund. Sorry, I'm choked up right now. And it's super emotional, and we made it up there, and we ended up raising a lot of money for Alzheimer's research. Really nice. Sorry to lower the mic there.
How are we supposed to top that?
Beer.
So, kind of all of you are married now. Josh was married last year. What's the process like of getting your wives into backpacking? Tim, I know you said you're still working on it, but you know, you kind of documented that on your channel. Josh, you have as well. And like, so caveat, I'm sure you would all agree that, and I've been getting my wife into backpacking, our wives are saints for putting up with this, but like, has it been frustrating? And like, what's that process been like?
So, I like it. Wives are saints. So I think the biggest barrier to getting people to backpack, not just our wives, I think, is just getting people comfortable with not sleeping inside. It's like luckily my wife, we backpacked like a year or two into us dating, so she was kind of already into it. But I think the biggest barrier to people backpacking in general is just getting them used to being outside and sleeping with a roof over their head. So if you can make that experience as comfortable as possible for their first couple times, so go somewhere with good weather, that the mileage is low, and bring fun stuff to eat, and bring a camp chair, like make things just comfortable for people. I honestly think that's the biggest barrier is just getting people to step outside and not sleep with a roof over their head, and just making that experience as comfortable as possible.
You don't think it's the bathroom?
Well, so you just gotta go for one night and hopefully they can keep it in.
The big thing for me, mentioned Alex, is for my wife, I always try to look for hooks. So you mentioned like being comfortable sleeping outdoors or bringing fun food. For me, it's my kids. My kids always want to come with me. Always. There's times in the channel that you don't see them. I don't film those outings. But it's come to the point now where my wife has realized that all my kids are going with their dad. I want to come too. I don't want to be left out or be left home. So for her, that's the way to get her to come eventually, is that she's going to realize, I don't want to stay home while my husband or kids are out having this fun adventure in the Smokies, or even going to a local campground. I want to be a part of that. And so that's my hope in it.
Your wife's right there. I would say just going off with this and making her comfortable and starting slow. And so luckily for me, she's already into hiking, and so that's pretty easy transition from that. Little Creek, I figured Little Creek's new shelter. I gave her my old pack to wear, and that was a really bad choice. So I would say, like, if you're your wives, your girlfriends, and you're backpacking, or if you're a girl and your boyfriend's a wimp, then I would say get him get them good lightweight gear. Take the brunt of the weight. So like when I went to Michigan, I took all the food, I took all the water filter, the cook kit. And she basically took her clothes, her sleeping bag, and her pad.
Let's not get that too confused, because I did carry some of my own weight, because I wanted to be more independent for myself. And,
but I carried like the majority of the food. She carried some of the snacks and stuff, and so I didn't.
Okay.
Really. Don't give her your old gear. That you don't give her gear you wouldn't use.
Shortly after you gave her your gear, you got it on R.E.I. and got her packed in, right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
So after I made sure she wanted to get into backpacking, we took her to R.E.I. and got her fitted for a pack, and she bought her own pack. You don't need to spend $350 on a Z-Packs alcohol. R.E.I. has the Flash 45, which is a really great beginner pack. It's $160, $150. And if you remember, we get 10% back at the end of the year, so you can't really shameless plug for R.E.I.
It's sponsored, right?
Shameless plug, we just came out with the new Flash 55. So.
Ooh.
Favorite Ohio outdoor location?
If those of you that haven't been to Lake Vesuvius, that's our favorite. It's in Wayne National Forest, so.
Check it out. It's 2 hours south of here. Good.
Probably.
Yeah, Tim, what's your
favorite? Hey, everyone should ask Tim's favorite Ohio backpack.
See, they're making fun of me because when they ask me that question, like, what's my favorite Ohio backpacking place where I've backpacked? I've actually never backpacked in Ohio. So what I've done a lot of hiking in Ohio, and I've done a lot of hiking in camping. Right. But for me, like my definition of backpacking is that you hike and camp, move on, hike and camp, move on, right? So I've never done that in Ohio. But if I choose one, probably Mohican. So I've hiked around there. Unfortunately, if you could backpack in Hawker Hills, I'd be all over it. I mentioned that. Yeah, so that's the end. But usually what ends up happening is that when I carve out that time to go someplace, I'm willing to drive like 6 to 8 hours to go to the Smokies or go somewhere else.
That's why. After work, you might as well go somewhere epic.
So Mohican though is where I would go because they have that mountain bike loop that you can hike on as well, and they have the campsites.
And it's free.
And it is. The parking pack place. Yeah. So sorry to shock all of you.
There's another question from the live stream. Somebody asked if there's any specific areas, like campgrounds around here or spots for hammock camping. So that was probably geared more toward the SBO brothers.
So the question was, when it comes to hammock camping, how is Ohio or Columbus? I mean, everything outside of Columbus is forest, so it's perfect. we don't have a desert surrounding.
We don't urban hammock camp either.
Yeah, we don't go to Grandview and set up the hammock outside. I mean, really, to be honest, Ohio is pretty hammock friendly.
Yeah. The Midwest in general.
Yeah. Question. I'm curious, outside of the actual backpacking itself, how much time on average would you say you spend a week a month on the content, like editing, interacting, with comments, dealing with emails, all that?
50 times the amount that you see in the actual video content. Not 50. 30,
A lot.
30 times.
And that's one of the reasons that for places for YouTube, it kind of feeds your backpacking addiction as well. Because I think about backpacking and backpacking gear all the time. I do constant lists. But yeah, it varies so what I've done now is I'll comment and respond to comments within the first hour of the video release. Because sometimes you get a lot of comments at once and I just can't get to it. I'll try to comment on questions that I get specifically because I want to help people who are asking specific questions. But easily, I don't know, an hour or two a day on average is what I could spend. Especially, that's why I try to I stack my videos in advance. I film them in bulk a lot of times, at least a few of them. Yeah, a lot of time. A lot more than it's actually you're getting in terms of income. So it varies a lot week to week. Yeah, it could be a lot of time.
How do you see that?
I ignore them and I monitor community like closely. And so one thing I try to do is I try to make sure that like a lot of backpackers feel friendly when they go in the comment section of my videos. And so I use a very aggressive filter. And so I'm able to monitor that and pull things for review. I block people. I do that just if I don't think if it's been consistent enough. And so a lot of YouTube is actually community moderation. And because I don't want people to go to my comment section and feel like they can't ask a question or they get jumped on or something negative happens there. So I try to monitor as much as I can. And unfortunately, once you get a little larger, like it becomes more and more difficult. And so a lot of negative comments I ignore because it's the internet, people are going to say things. Even like this room, people are going to say negative things at some point. And I have to roll with it. I know who I am and be genuinely myself and deal with it.
Like you're a big phony that you don't backpack here in Ohio?
Yes! That's true. Yeah. Maybe that's true.
It's not like a troll or anything. Factual statement.
Yeah, what about you guys? Negative comments? They've never had any negative.
We're not as big as Tim, so we don't get the.
We definitely. So I have a rule. So if you ever comment on our video, 99% of the time, I'll be the one answering it. I do about 1 day of comments and then I move on because usually after a day, trolls start showing up. So I give it about a day. That's what you get, and then I don't want to devote any more time to it. And then I mean, we say this like if anybody ever needs stuff from us, our email's out there, and we'll get back to you. So
yeah, but you just have to thick skin and move on. Honestly, and that's the hard part for a lot of people. To move on, just ignore it and move on.
My husband and I are going to be building out a gear loft, gear space. Curious what your guys look like, how you keep yourself organized, how you get yourself done.
That's great because you're sitting right next to my wife. I have a gear loft. It's just filled with outdoor stuff. I don't know, I keep it organized. We each have a room for our stuff, and it's like, I don't care, just throw it up there.
You answer, that's my wife. So.
Give him the whole room. He needs the whole room.
Mine is just I try to declutter as much as I can. You guys, ladies especially, probably my wife is watching Marie Kondo. Yeah.
Addicted.
Right? So she was always decluttering my stuff, and so I'm like, wow, some of the stuff I need. But I use a lot of plastic organizers, a lot of plastic tubs, loose storage bags. I kind of carve out closet areas where I can, and just have sections for myself. And so I actually don't have a specific gear room, just because my wife won't allow it. But I have different sections of areas and closets that I can try to remain organized in that. Sometimes I do lose things because of that, but it is what it is.
Josh?
I don't organize my stuff. It's all scattered throughout my house.
It's just shoved on shelves,
If you go
honestly.
into the room in my house, you're going to find backpacking gear. There's a filter sitting on the counters in there since the last year I've cleaned, or I'll have like my down jacket sitting on the back of the chair because I work for work or whatever. And I try to keep like my expensive stuff like organized, so like my sleeping bags and stuff like that are all hanging. I don't keep my down compressed. And I keep, like I said, all my expensive stuff together. All my little stuff I kind of just put in a box and it's literally terrible. I have a room dedicated to all my junk. And so I've got my backpacking stuff, all my Subaru stuff, my drums. My bike will go in there when I get a new bike, and so yeah, I don't organize my stuff.
The big thing for me is as soon as I come back from the trip, I try to get my stuff clean and air it out and back to where it goes within a day. That's what I try my best to do. That's how I try to organize it. What?
Not helping.
Can you post videos of that loft when you get it done? Because I'd love to see it. Organized and all like that.
The organization
questions?
I have one for the Schill brothers. Are all those footprints for the camp chairs hard to put on?
He actually got one.
I just got.
Yeah, he got one.
I just got one off a knockoff off Amazon for $10, and somebody told me it wouldn't work on the chair.
And it works.
And it works.
Yeah.
I literally just put it on today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do a video on it.
Yeah.
And I'll show you which one it is.
I finally got mine on, but I was afraid I was going to break one of the legs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The one that I got,
it's
it's great.
Any question back there?
Yeah, I had one. When you sort out your gear and the old stuff that you don't want anymore, what do you do with it?
A lot of times what I end up doing is I end up, somebody goes to Josh, somebody goes to people who like I know can use it. So someone who teaches kids is using one of my filters or will be using it for teaching a class about like backpacking or science class, filters. People who are new into backpacking, so I try to get into. Sometimes I do resell gear that I don't use anymore, especially if it's a higher dollar item, like I've sold a quilt before or a down jacket. A lot of the stuff that I know I personally use, I try to give it away to someone who is getting into backpacking because they can use it, and why have it sit in my closet if I'm not going to use it?
You don't put it on a specific site for resale?
I can. A lot of it's like if I want to sell higher dollar items, it could be Facebook. There are a lot of Facebook groups, backpacking gear, flea market on Facebook, hammock forums on Facebook, hammock hangers, flea market. So Facebook has a lot of really specific outdoor gear groups that I use. And they sell fast because you have like a super targeted audience looking at your backpacking gear.
eBay, hammock forums, some online blogs. And then following with what Tim was said, we've donated a bunch of gear as well to some people we know and friends that are getting into it. But I have a corner of my very unorganized room right now that's just stuff that I need to get rid of. It's not really worth anything, so I'll just have to find somebody that can use it. But luckily we get to connect with a lot of people, so it's easy to kind of find people that will take it on.
If you guys could go hiking with anybody in history, who would you go with and why?
I'm here.
Besides each other.
In history?
Anyone in history?
History.
Like McKinley, like those great explorers in the past. That'd be pretty sweet.
Cool. Probably would do like Teddy Roosevelt to hang out with. Because and it's the difference. It's funny when you get it back, preservationist versus the conservationist. And so, I mean, Muir is the preservationist, and Roosevelt being the conservationist. So that'd be interesting just to see how different he is.
Any other questions? One more.
Have any of you ever gone out camping and hiking specifically to hunt for Sasquatch?
No.
Not yet.
Shameless plug, there's a Sasquatch on every one of our camps. Seriously. And in the wall art above the bar out there.
Alright, one more question? No? Everyone wants to win things now. Who does not have a green ticket that is not an REI employee?
It fluctuated a lot. It reached 50 at one point, but it stayed between like 37 and like 46.
Alright, before we do the drawings, I just want to take a minute to thank all these guys for coming out tonight. The Schill brothers are local, but the other two came from Findlay area, so it was very gracious of them to come down and take their time to answer questions with everybody. Once again, I'm Abby. I am with REI. I run the outdoor school and outreach programs for the Columbus area. We offer a lot of events, a lot of workshops, a lot of classes. At our store, there's flyers out there. We are launching a new personal outfitting program, so if you need some help getting trips planned, figuring out what kind of gear you need, feel free to come in. You can go online, sign up for an appointment, and we will get you set up. We'll have one-on-one time with some of our people. Thank you all for coming out, and we will give away soon.
We want to do plugs for reaching out to everybody real quick. You guys want to, how people can reach you for the video and for the people here on all your media platforms?
Yeah, sure. So it's Schill Brothers Outdoors on YouTube. We're on Instagram, Schill Brothers Outdoors. Email is, it's on YouTube, it's SBLD on Gmail. We're pretty good about responding. We try to respond to everybody that reaches out to us, so any questions or anything, we'll get back to you.
Mine is just Subaru Josh on Instagram, and I think I'm the same on YouTube. It's either Subaru Josh or Josh Ebersole. If you can't find me, just go to Tim's channel, you'll be able to find me.
So mine is easy. So just go to YouTube, type in Tim Watson, my picture will pop up pretty quickly. And then email is probably the best way that I'll get to you. Sometimes it'll take a little while for me to respond. Depends on how many emails I have. But timwatsonoutdoors@gmail.com. But yeah, that's on every YouTube video, is in the description section. All my social media is in there.
How do I end this?
See you guys.